What's up guys, your boy JC here, back again for another video. Today we're just doing the finishing touches before we can do startup, and you've got the Carbs here. So over here we got the main jet. It says 0.125 on here. We went ahead and got them matched. Shoutouts to Mike from Jets R Us. Yes, it says right here, genuine Kahan jet, 0.178. That's what we want, because obviously you want bigger diameter for fuel to flow through. Yada yada. Comes in this little envelope. Pop those open and boom, we got 4 of them right here. See if this works. Yup. Yeah, I replaced the bottoms to Allen key, like stainless steel, just because they were looking a little worn. Some people hate that. I like it, so. And I'm sure this is probably like the right one that I pulled the jet from too. We'll know in a sec. These are the float bowls. Okay, and that's off. Let's go ahead and remove that and swap the main. That shit smells like fuel. That's normal. All right, just like I showed earlier, we're just gonna hold that with a wrench, like so. And it keeps going out of focus, my bad, y'all. So, take this to loosen. Take your new main jet, throw it on. Get it in there snug with the screwdriver. For good measure, we'll throw it back on here. Get that sucker in there snug. Okay, that's in there. And then we go like, there we go. Should be good. We ain't trying to strip those. Slap the mixing bowl back on and repeat for the other 3. I'm not gonna bore you with that process. We're gonna skip overhead to what else we need to do. Drop it? Oh, okay. Should we mess with the gas yet or no? Is the tach working? Is the tach working? No? So the tach's not working is the next step to figure out.
Yeah.
Sweet, dude. So all it was that white cable, huh?
I think so.
Shit.
Well, you have to fix it up still, right?
Yeah. All right, so why did it take so long for me to put a video out? It's been a couple of weeks since the last one. Let me explain. I knew for a fact that we had to figure out the fuel system out. I know that in the first video, I mentioned to get the Carter pump. You will actually need that if you had a Mark 1, but on a Mark 2, usually how the fuel system works is you have a lift pump in the tank that is low PSI, followed by an external pump, which is high PSI. Normally what Mark 2 people switching to carbs would do is they would just remove the external pump and run off the lift pump, which is like low PSI, like I said, 3, like around 5 PSI, and just add a fuel pressure regulator like this small one, Mr. Gasket one, going into the carbs. Now, the shock to me was that when I looked under the car, instead of seeing an external pump there to delete, what I found was a fuel filter. I totally forgot that my uncle had swapped my Mark II tank for a Mark III tank, and on the Mark IIIs, there is no external pump. It's just a high-pressure fuel pump inside the tank. Knowing this, initially, I had thought to buy a low-pressure in-tank pump, which is this, from Fuel Lab, to throw in the tank. But upon taking out the Mark III tank and looking at the basket, it was going to be a lot of trouble to retrofit this guy on there. And so I quickly reassembled the pump and threw it back in there. And instead, I bought this Aeromotive EFI to FPR fuel pressure regulator, which takes the, here's the feed, which takes the high pressure going into here, steps it down around 15 PSI, and now we have a return as well going back. But then there's a second regulator that comes right off of it, and it brings it down to around like 9 PSI. From 9 PSI, it goes to the Mr. Gasket, and that drops it down to 3, and we confirmed that last night. So that's the fuel system in a nutshell. Again, shout outs to Chris for building me like this sexy plate where all my MSD stuff sits. If you follow me on Instagram, I showed pictures of it like fitting in the stock rain trailer location, like super snug. It's super nice. We were also getting spark, but not while cranking, and so that was something for us to figure out. So it was like initial spark, so we had some tracing to do, and we had to go back to our diagram, and we basically, what it was, it took us a while to figure out, was there was a cover on the timing computer. And let me just go back to the diagram here. This is the diagram that y'all need to follow here. I'll include this in the description below, and I'll upload this diagram on Google Drive so that it never gets lost, and I'll put that Google Drive link in the description below as well. But you see here, it says, and this is for the 8980 timing computer. So this is the 8980, that's this guy here. And on here it says red loop, blue loop. And here it says 8 cylinders cut no loops, and for 4 cylinders cut red and blue. And what we found out, reason why it wasn't sparking properly, and I actually did the tests. There's 2 tests that you can do, and I'll show you those tests here in a GIF to show that the ignition system is working properly. All right, y'all, doing some troubleshooting tests with the MSD. So I've got ignition on. All right. Coil plug pulled off of the distributor and close to a ground. Unplug the white wire, and we're gonna touch this to a ground, and if we see spark there off that coil plug, then ignition should be working properly. And you see it's like super visible there, and you can even hear it. So that's one test. Now let's try the other with the magnetic pickup. Let's turn ignition off. We'll hook this wire back up, and we'll try with the magnetic pickup in a sec. So now to the second test, ignition on. I plugged back the white wire onto the timing controller, and the coil plug is still close to the ground. And now we've got the green and purple magnetic pickup here. We're gonna try to short it with this here and see what happens. You're supposed to, we should see spark over there. So should be better with a paper clip, but this is all I could find. Let's see what happens. Oh, I did see that. Did you see that? Yep, saw that again. See for a better view. Yep. Okay, so back to the video. So it passed those 2 tests, but it still wasn't like sparking on crank. And it was basically because there was a cover on this and we totally overlooked it. There was a black cover covering these loops, and the red wire was not cut, the blue wire was not cut, and basically this white wire was cut and it wasn't supposed to. So we actually had to strip the wires back and join them together. And so after we dealt with those loops, we got spark at cranking. Let's go back to the pump now. So the pump, when we deleted the Digi2 harness, we deleted the plug that goes on here from the ECU. The way the pump works is basically when you go to ignition, the ECU sends a ground signal to the pump, which is this red and yellow wire here, right? And that would activate the pump on ignition on. Now, it wasn't happening because this wasn't like plugged in anymore to anything. And so how we got the pump to work on ignition was by sending a ground to this. Basically had like a screwdriver on here and plugged it to the negative terminal. So that's one of the things that we have to figure out, is like how to relay that, like so that, you know, it's not always on. But for now, we're just going to run it to a, like, put a spade connector on here to a wire and then run it to ground over there or something. So action items from me from this point on is to basically pull this timing controller out, isolate those wires so that they never touch, the red and blue, and basically just tape over them. And the white wire, I'll have to like see how I can join that together. Either like I solder that, or I don't know, figure it out and then cover it back up. So that's the first one. Second one is running ground from this red yellow wire for the fuel pump. So that's step 2. Step 3 is my throttle. My throttle cable is here, and it has to go through the firewall again, through this stopper right here, and then I need to get like a cable stop on the other end. That'll give me like an inch of pedal play, but a side project is a cantilever system that'll probably sit here. This used to be the bracket that holds the intake manifold to the head, the stock intake manifold, and we'll build something so that, you know, we get the full throttle pedal travel for that. But that's gonna be like later on, but we just want to get the car running and moving. What else? Oh, I was leaking in this fitting here. It's because I'm using like regular Teflon tape, and I think I should be using the pink one. So I've got that on the way. I'll just like use that and redo all my fittings coming off the regulator, and redo them with pink Teflon tape, and, you know, retighten everything to get rid of the leaks. When we ran it, this pulley kept getting like hot and it started smoking, which makes us think that this belt is way too long and it's stressing out the alternator. So we're gonna try to, you know, remeasure and run the shortest belt we can and see if that fixes that problem. So again, if you're a Mark 1 trying to do this conversion, you either want to run like a Carter rotary to a small FPR like my Mr. Gasket one over there, or you want to run like the actual bike pump, like a R1 pump or whatever it is thing you're using. If you're a Mark 2, all you need to do is delete the external pump and just run off the lift pump to again a fuel pressure regulator. And if you're on a Mark 3 pump like I am, probably super rare unless like you were thinking to upgrade to a VR6 or a 180 or something, then just run the, you know, a strong fuel pressure regulator that'll get that high PSI down to like, you know, 3 PSI, like basically. that's it. Also, I want to say I'm by no means like an expert. These cars are like children. It takes a village to kind of like raise them, kind of thing. So shout outs to Chris, shout outs to Slav, shout outs to everybody who's, you know, chiming in, and like Facebook people, Facebook groups, forum people, like everybody who's like helped this thing, because like, you know, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm a monkey, and I like, you know, throw things on the car, cross my fingers and hope they work. Yeah, we're almost there, y'all. We are almost there.